Okay guys, so this is, as usual with my videos, videos create videos for me. So I pay a lot of attention when I'm on other guys' boats at how they store their gear. And matter of fact, I've talked about this before. One of the things I love that Bassmaster did, or maybe still does, is what's in the boat, because I like seeing when the boxes are open, how guys store stuff. And one of the things that has amazed me over the years is how many guys I see wasting hooks by letting them get rusty. So that makes me crazy, right? I hate being wasteful with stuff. Number one, it's expensive, and number two, I just hate throwing stuff away that otherwise should be good stuff. And I certainly hate fishing with a rusty hook. So I want to show you guys kind of my layout of how I do things. And the number one thing I'll tell you is the key to this is inventory management, right? It's not having too much of any one thing in a box. I see guys take boxes like this and they'll put 20 hooks in here, and one of them goes in there wet. Next thing you know, you got 20 rusted hooks or 30 rusted hooks, and this stuff's not cheap, right? So this is how I do it. So in my front right, my day box, I carry a couple of boxes in there, and I carry them sort of so that when I open them to do something, I can get whatever I need out of that one box, with the one exception, and that is generally tungsten weights. So what I have discovered, and this is actually a little heavier than normally what it would be, is this box right here is my basic worm hook box. So they're pretty much all offset shank hooks, O'Shaughnessy hooks you might call them, some guys would call them. And you see I carry 2, 3, 4, and 5/0 in regular weight, and then in superline weight. And I keep them, generally that's quite a few, so that's my 3/0. That's probably one of the most common hooks I use, and followed by 4/0. And normally they would be in the order of 2/0 up front. I was playing with them earlier. Actually, I do carry a 1/0, but then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I keep them in there. I do it this way so that I have good inventory. So for example, I know right now I need to order 2/0 hooks, so I've got some 2/0 hooks on order. So that sits in that side of this box, and then over here are drop shots, and then some wacky hooks, and then that's pretty much it. Now in this case, I also have, I just ordered these for that new big 9-inch worm that 6 Cents is making. I ordered some Strike King. That's a 7/0 hook. I'm real curious to throw those. Now the one thing in here, this is the box that a lot of times I'll take to another boat. So a lot of times I'll throw a couple of EWG hooks in here. I always have a few shaky head hooks in here, and I always have a few swim bait hooks in here just in case I need them. And likewise, I have some tungsten in here, and then I have bobber stoppers in here, because this is the box that when I go fish out of Terry's boat, or back when Dickie and I fished together, I would take this as well. And then you guys know I do love perch jerking on occasion, and I got the boys, so there's a couple of rooster tails in there as well. So that's box 1. Box 2 is this box. Same layout, little bigger space here. And in this one, same thing. These are all EWG hooks, extra wide gap hooks, 2/0 to 5/0, regular diameter hooks, and superline hooks. Now this box also is pretty much when I'm Carolina rigging, I can get to these. So I've got big weights in here, I've got extra weights in here. These are about to go in a new box, and then I also carry my flipping hooks in here. So that is my box for all of that. And truthfully, I probably should swap this out. I probably should make that box, and I'm going to do that as I talk about this. I'm going to move these hooks into that box and those hooks into this box, because I usually Carolina rig with one of those style hooks probably more than I do these. So that's a change I probably need to make, and sometimes you just got to be a little bit self-aware. So that's that. Now sinkers, I carry 2, 3 different distinct boxes. This is something I learned from a co-angler several years ago. Now I am, as you've heard me say, I'm not cheap, I'm poor. So all of my drop shots are not tungsten, they're all lead. So this is my drop shot, and then this is also where I carry my, well, I can't think now what they're called, but those little slip sinkers that you can peg. I carry the rubber pegs so that I can hold them in place. And that basically are the little tiny, basically tiny Carolina rigs, so you can throw them. I really like throwing those when the grass is really just starting to come up, or when you've got really tapered grass and those fish are on the outside edge. That's an extremely good technique. Throw it on 12 or 15 pound fluorocarbon with a Mojo sinker on there, and it's a way you can keep that bait right in the strike zone a lot. And then I carry my tungsten in the other. So tungstens, you see, I carry 3/16 ounce all, and of course, and in both sides of these, you'll see I have 6-inch bobber stoppers, so that when I get one, I can just grab them up. And then on the other side, I go all the way up to 2 ounces. So, and I don't carry a ton of them because truthfully, you don't ever lose a 2 or a 1.5 or a 1 or even a 1 1/4 ounce sinkers or a 3/4 ounce, because usually you're flipping them in some type of vegetation, and if you get them hung up, you can just straight pull them and get them out. I do a lot of 3/4 ounce flipping in deep bushes when we have deep bushes, so I'll carry a few more of those. But I don't carry a whole ton of these because because these are in the front of the boat. I don't want a bunch of weight in the front of the boat. And then I carry in the back of a boat another box this size that has some other lead, some other tungsten, but that's most of the tungsten I carry in the boat. And then extra Carolina rig sinkers. And again, I don't see the benefit personally in throwing a $7 tungsten Carolina rig sinker. I feel everything fine with the lead sinker. So my Carolina rig stuff in the back is pretty much all lead. Now, specialty box wise, I carry, this is my swim bait hook box. So I carry a bunch of flashy swimmers and a bunch of other swim bait hooks up here. I also, just because I like to throw them, I carry a few. I've got a separate box this size that are jigging spoons and different variations of tail kickers, but I keep a few in here. And then again, just sort of random stuff. Again, I love the perch fish. So I got my perch fish baits in there. I carry a couple of swim jig heads in there because I throw them on swim baits just like I do those hooks. And then I carry a few open hooks in there as well. Oops, dropped one there. So that's really my swim bait hook box, and also my frog hook box. All my frog hooks are in there as well. Everything else are backups. And so you guys that watch me fish a lot, you never see me open this box on the water. But I keep stuff in there. I don't open that box, number one, because everything I need is in this front box unless I need to go into my backups. But also, I've just tried to make sure everything stays dry in there, so even on rainy days, I don't want to have to open that box and worry about what gets wet in there, because that box has a lot of dollars worth of hooks in them. So in that box, I carry all my spares. Now, this is my basic extra treble hooks. So you can see I've got them basically 2 to 6s in here. And now you'll see a lot of EWG hooks in here. Those are hooks I've pulled off and I don't throw away. And then when I run low on those, I have so many of them. I have 2 of these. These are just those little boxes you can buy. They're $1.50 a piece. And that's where I carry all of my spare treble hooks. A lot of stuff. You've heard me talk before about that number 3. It's a stinger hook. It's an Aaron Martin's hook made by Gamakatsu. So those are in there. My wide gap 4s. And then because I have so doggone many of them, I have a second box that has even more. And then they also have some great big swim bait hooks in there as well. And then I have another box that is kind of a little bit of everything else. Extra shaky head hooks. And by the way, I didn't talk about that. So I've just bought another box this size because I really like the length of these to keep my shaky heads in. So I now have a designated shaky head box. For example, all this stuff, shaky heads, Ned hooks, all that stuff. But I carry extra stuff in there, and that's pretty much everything I need. I really don't carry a lot of extra worm hooks because any worm hooks I need are in that box over there. And I keep a real tight grip on the inventory, again, because now I'm really careful not to put wet hooks up. But once a hook goes back in here, I know that I've not bent it. I know it's still a good hook. And when I run low on one, I'll just buy another pack or 2 of them so that I always know that I have the hooks I need in here. And I really try to pay attention, especially around tournament time. I've got a bunch of these hanging in Zavala when I need extra hooks because I keep a pretty good supply of them, but they're not in the boat. I want them in a clean, dry place so that I'm not ruining. Let's see if one of these has got a price tag on it. $6 worth of hooks, which that's, you know, there were 5 hooks in there, not the 8 that are in there now. And that's probably old. That's probably $7 or $8 worth of hooks these days. So for me, it's about managing my inventory of what I have in the boat at any given time. It's about keeping the weight down in the front of the boat. Actually, funny, everything you see here stays in the front of the boat, but these don't weigh much because there's not a whole bunch of stuff in them. I don't carry a whole bunch of hooks. I don't carry a whole bunch of sinkers. I got spare sinkers in the back if I need them, but usually I only have to get into those at the end of the day fishing because I make a note, and I make notes to myself in the note section on my phone. If I get in a box and say, hey, I need to put some 2/0 hooks in the boat, or I need to add a couple of 3/8 ounce tungsten sinkers in the boat, or 1/2 ounce drop shot, lead drop shot hooks, I make a note in the boat, I'll make a note in my phone. At the end of the day, I'll look at it. And that's the same place, by the way, I also make notes of stuff I've got to fix. I noted the other day, I cranked my big motor and I saw that I had over 100 hours on it. So I immediately made a note in there, order oil, to do your oil change in your boat. And I ordered it yesterday. So I've got my oil coming so I can do my oil change, and we'll take y'all through that. It's pretty simple to do. But I make notes on my phone, so at the end of the day, if I've broken something, if I need to change line on something, if I need to change my inventory out somewhere, I don't forget to do it, because you young guys may remember to do it, but trust me, us 60-year-old guys, we're like, man, I know I needed to do something, but for the life of me, I can't remember what that is. So that's my setup. Again, control your inventory. Don't have too much stuff in great big boxes. Don't put wet stuff back in a box. Put it out somewhere in your boat. It's really handy to have magnetic mounts or other mounts. I've got a mount down here you guys have seen where I put wet crankbaits, or I use a little sticky mount down here in the bottom of the bass cat to put hooks in there until they're dry, and I can put them back in their respective boxes. So I hope that's helpful. Next week, we've had the conversation with Brian from Seagar. We're going to talk about how to store fluorocarbon line. We're going to talk about the difference between different strands of braided line, and we're going to talk about some of the myths of fluorocarbon line, and also a really interesting tip from Denny Breyer about something he saw in a knot Brian tied, and why he pays really specific attention to something that had never crossed my mind before. So I'm going to leave you with that, and with one other thought. Dude, I love this new hat. I know my hair looks terrible. I have been looking for a good fishing and golf hat, just a solid white hat. That's a new hat from Waterland, and it's 100% mesh all around. That is the best summer. I'm gonna use it as my golf hat because I'll trash it as a fishing hat. That is the best summer golf hat I've ever found, because it's completely breathable and it's white, so it'll be cool. So check that out. Remember the code at Waterland, Ken15 will get you 15% off hats and glasses and shirts and pullovers and all that fun stuff. And as always, if you shop on Tackle Warehouse, please use the link below. That supports the channel. If you need any 6 Sense gear, I've got links to most 6 Sense gear below, but make sure and use the code Ken10 so that they know you came from Ken Smith Fishing, and they support our channel as well. So thanks for supporting me to help you guys. Thanks for helping us by supporting us, so we can bring you guys content that I hope you enjoy. And we'll see y'all real soon. And by the way, if you've got ideas on tackle stores that I've not thought of, a lot of this, as I've said, have come from me seeing other guys do stuff. I'd love to hear your ideas as well. KenSmithFishingandOutlook.com. Thanks, guys.